I want everyone to take a moment to ask yourself, who would I be if my beliefs and limitations weren't holding me back? A fear of failure, maybe a fear of success. What do I do if I actually succeed? A fear of rejection, and maybe the creeping voice in the back of your head telling you you're just not good enough. And think, where did this thought come from? Because what if I tell you that these thoughts, these beliefs, these limitations were handed to you before you even had the chance to choose who you wanted to be? Because like fleas locked in a jar, conditioned to accept limitations through continuous pain and failure. What started as a struggle became a belief. What began as an obstacle became an identity. Situations becoming nurture and nature. And the saddest part, even when the lid is removed, the fleas don't jump, and they never try to escape. They remain trapped, not by the jar, but by their own beliefs. We also inherit fears, limitations and expectations from our environment, our parents, our teachers, our friends, our society, and our culture. Fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. It tells you to stay where it's safe, not to ask too many questions, not to dream too big. It convinces you that discomfort means danger, that uncertainty means failure. And without realizing it, we live within those invisible barriers, mistaking them for walls instead of illusions. And the scariest part is that most people will go their entire lives without ever realizing they're trapped. They'll stay in jobs they hate, friendships that drain them, and routines that feel like slow suffocation because of the walls that they believe are real. And the greatest tragedy isn't just living inside these barriers. It's never even trying to break free. Because we don't question these walls, we don't push against them. We simply accept them as truth, believing that they define us. But what if they don't? What if we can rewrite our nature through nurture? For most of my life, I lived in fear. A fear of failure, a fear of not being good enough, and a fear that no matter what I did, it would never be enough. I continuously chased more success, more recognition, more validation. But I never stopped to ask why, or even what is more. More money? More happiness? More friends? Or was more actually less? Less stress? Less fear? Less loneliness? Because the truth was, I wasn't chasing, I was running from myself. And no matter how far I ran, the emptiness followed. Because when you are like this, depression is never far behind, whispering that my struggles weren't just moments, spur of the moments, not just circumstances, but part of my identity, that they were my lays. I felt alone, unworthy of happiness and unworthy of love. And the worst of all is that I thought that's just the way things were meant to be. And 2 years ago, I hit rock bottom. A corporate job that didn't align with my values left me severely burnt out. I felt like I was disappearing into a life I never chose, until there was almost nothing left of all. A life lived too long with nothing to lose but that life itself. And in that darkness, I saw only one way up. But I chose life. I chose to live. I chose to live life by my rules. Live up to my potential and write my own story. A lot of people will tell you main character energy, but forget about that. That is not the important part. When debating your book of life, you should be asking, is this an autobiography or is someone writing the story for me? Am I the author or just playing a role I never auditioned for? Because we often grow up believing that life follows a set path. You go to school, you find a stable job, you find a partner, you have a family, and you hustled throughout. Oh, and if you have a moment somewhere in between, try and find some happiness. But life is not a movie where you play a background character. It's a blank page in a book waiting to be written. And that means choosing authenticity over approval, rewriting the narrative when needed, and surrounding yourself with people who accept you for you. It's only when I started therapy and started my self-acceptance journey that I realized how much of my life had been shaped by external expectations rather than self-acceptance. I wasn't writing my own book, but playing a character in a written one. So I actively started making choices that felt true to me. Not choices that pleased others, but ones that honored who I truly was. I stopped saying yes when I meant no, and I let go of the exhausting need to prove my worth. Realizing that real love, self-love, friendships, relationships don't come from what other people expect from you. It comes from intentional being. The redefining my life wasn't just about relationships. Because we're often told to find the one that completes us. But what no one tells you is that that one is already inside of you. It is you. Imagine if you spoke to yourself the same way you speak to your loved ones. Would you tell them that they're not good enough? Would you tell them they have to achieve more just to be worthy of your love? Because self-love is not arrogance, it's acceptance. So my search, when you embrace yourself fully, you stop seeking validation from others and start creating space for happiness and relationships that add value to your life rather than define it. So my search for happiness wasn't about my past relationships, about my job title, or the money I had saved in the bank. It was about redefining what I had thought was the meaning of purpose. For years, I believed my self-worth was tied to my accomplishments. See, society rewards us for doing, achieving, climbing, succeeding, and accumulating. But have you ever noticed that no matter what you do, no matter how much you accomplish, the satisfaction never lasts? The promotion that once felt like everything quickly becomes just another bullet point on your resume. The recognition fades and suddenly you're chasing the next milestone, the next title, the next validation, always reaching, never arriving. Because the truth is, external validation is a treadmill, not a destination. It keeps you moving, but you never truly get anywhere if you don't know what you're running towards. When I shifted my focus from constantly proving myself to simply being myself, not doing but intentional being, things started to change. But even as I built a new life, I realized I wasn't just battling my own doubts. I was battling generations of them. Many of us carry not just personal wounds, but generational and societal traumas. Trauma is oftentimes passed down, not just in actions, but through beliefs. The belief that love must be earned, that vulnerability is weakness, and that happiness is a luxury we just cannot afford. The past may have shaped us, but it does not have to define us. Every time you choose growth over comfort, action over fear, self-acceptance over self-doubt, you are literally rewiring your brain. And at the core of this transformation is one simple truth, that happiness is not the result of endless achievements. It is the byproduct of alignment, of becoming the person you were meant to be, finding purpose through intentional being, not doing, becoming, not transacting. Your past, your fears, and your doubts, they are not your destiny. They are definitely not your purpose. You have the power to rewire your brain, to nurture yourself into who you were always meant to be. The fleas in the jar never questions the limits they were given, but you can open the jar. You can smash the jar and you can jump higher. And when you do, you don't just free yourself, you inspire others to do the same. So let me leave you with this final question. What is your purpose? Or rather, who will you become? Thank you.